The galaxy had always been a place of chaos, a never-ending war between alien races fighting for dominance. Each planet, each star system, was either a battleground or a place for those in power to gather wealth and resources. Earth, once a thriving hub of human civilization, was now nothing more than a distant memory, a world tucked away at the edge of the known universe. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity was a forgotten species, barely worth noticing. No one cared that Earth had fallen silent. They had moved on, too busy with their own conflicts to pay attention to a planet that was once a great power. But in the shadows of this galactic indifference, a change was coming. No one could see it, not even the most powerful leaders of the galaxy. They couldn't hear the quiet rumblings beneath the surface, the whispers of something ancient waking up. Earth, though lost and broken, was not finished. For years, the human race had been rebuilding in silence, working on a project so massive, so powerful, that it would shake the galaxy to its very core. On the surface of Earth, life had gone on. People lived in quiet cities, unaware of the great transformation happening beneath their feet. The rich had retreated to safe havens, while the poor struggled in the shadows. But deep underground, in abandoned military bases and hidden laboratories, humanity was preparing for something that could turn the tide in their favor. The creation of a ship, a battleship unlike any other, was nearing completion. It wasn't just any warship. It was a weapon of unimaginable power, built to make any alien fleet quake in fear. The ship, codenamed Titanus, had been under construction for decades, far beyond what anyone could have imagined. No one had ever seen a ship like it. It was massive, its size nearly impossible to comprehend. Its hull was made of a material stronger than anything in the galaxy, impervious to most weapons. Its engines could propel it faster than any ship before it, and its weapons, well, they were beyond anything the galaxy had ever dreamed of. The Titanus wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's answer to years of being forgotten, to years of being overlooked. It was Earth's statement that it was no longer weak. The rest of the galaxy had no idea what was coming. When the Titanus was first tested, its power was so overwhelming that the vibrations could be felt across the entire planet. The test was a success, and the ship was ready for the next step, launching into the stars. But as the day drew closer, the leaders of Earth knew that the ship wasn't just a military weapon. It was a declaration, a message to the galaxy that Earth was no longer just a weak planet waiting to be crushed. No longer would Earth be a pawn in the hands of powerful alien empires. No longer would they be the underdog. As the final preparations were made, the crew of the Titanus was carefully selected. These weren't just ordinary soldiers. They were the best humanity had to offer, chosen for their skills, their loyalty, and their unshakable belief in the mission. They knew that what they were about to do would change everything. But even they had no idea just how far the ripples of their actions would spread. On the eve of the Titanus' departure, Earth held its breath. No one knew what the galaxy would do once it realized that humanity was no longer the forgotten species at the edge of space. The galaxy's most powerful empires would soon learn that Earth had a weapon unlike any other, a ship that could wipe out fleets with ease. And they would learn quickly, because the Titanus was ready to leave its mark on the stars. As the engines of the Titanus roared to life for the first time, a shockwave of energy rippled out into the cosmos. No one knew it yet, but that shockwave would send ripples of fear and uncertainty across the galaxy. The message was clear. Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. It had awakened, and the galaxy would soon know what true power looked like. In the silence that followed, the galaxy's leaders sat in their high-tech chambers, oblivious to the storm that was about to hit them. They were too wrapped up in their petty wars, their ambitions and their schemes to notice the distant rumble of humanity's return. But soon, that silence would break, and the stars themselves would tremble. The silence that followed the first test of the Titanus was almost eerie. Earth had never been a quiet place, but the weight of what was about to happen hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Humanity had spent decades building this ship in secret, pouring every ounce of energy, knowledge, and sacrifice into it. Now, the Titanus was ready. Its massive hull stood like a monument to human ingenuity and determination, and its weapons hummed with untapped power. But as the crew prepared for their mission, they knew one thing for sure: the galaxy had no idea what was coming. No one outside Earth had any reason to believe that humanity could pose a threat to the mighty alien empires that ruled the stars. Earth had been forgotten, its once advanced civilization reduced to a quiet, isolated world on the edge of the galaxy. The alien factions had long since moved on, conquering planets, exploiting resources, and waging wars with no thought of Earth. Humanity was nothing more than a distant memory, a species that had failed to keep up with the times, relegated to the annals of history. But the Titanus was more than just a ship. It was humanity's answer to the years of oppression and neglect. Built from the remnants of Earth's most advanced technology, it was a warship unlike any other, designed not only to defend Earth but to send a message to the entire galaxy. The Titanus was a statement. Earth was no longer weak, no longer a pawn to be discarded. It was a force to be reckoned with. As the Titanus's massive engines powered up for its maiden journey into the stars, a sense of dread rippled through the crew. This was uncharted territory. They were about to face the unknown, and they had no idea how the galaxy would react to humanity's sudden emergence. The alien races that had long ignored Earth might not take kindly to this unexpected show of power. And yet, the crew was ready. They had been chosen for this mission because they believed in Earth's potential, in humanity's ability to rise from the ashes and take its place among the stars. The first mission was simple: travel to a nearby galactic trade hub controlled by a powerful alien faction and make a statement. It wasn't just about showing off the Titanus' power. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity was no longer afraid. The crew, led by Captain Sarah Drake, was determined to make sure the Titanus would send a message loud and clear. As the ship slowly lifted off the ground, the Earth that had been so quiet for so long began to fade into the distance. The Titanus wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of Earth's rebirth, a reminder to the galaxy that humanity had not been forgotten. The silence that had once enveloped the planet now turned into a roar as the Titanus tore through the atmosphere and into the stars. But even as the ship entered space, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The Titanus wasn't the only ship in the galaxy, and its sudden appearance was bound to cause waves. The alien empires, long used to their dominance, were not prepared for what was coming. But they would soon learn. The Titanus was more than just a ship. It was Earth's declaration of war. As the ship entered hyperspace, its journey toward the galactic trade hub began. The crew worked tirelessly, ensuring that the ship was ready for whatever lay ahead. They knew the stakes were high. If the galaxy didn't take humanity seriously now, they would soon regret it. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the leaders of the alien empires were going about their business, unaware of the storm heading their way. The Galactic Council, made up of the most powerful species in the galaxy, had no reason to fear Earth. They had long considered humanity a thing of the past, a failed experiment lost to time. But that perception was about to change in ways they couldn't even begin to imagine. The Titanus continued its journey, its engines humming softly. The crew focused on their task. As they neared the galactic trade hub, the anticipation grew. Soon, the first contact would be made. Soon, the galaxy would learn that Earth was no longer a forgotten planet. They would learn that humanity had a weapon they could never have anticipated. And when that weapon was unleashed, there would be no turning back. The Titanus was ready, and so was humanity. The galaxy, for all its power, would soon find itself facing a force it had never seen before. The storm was coming, and no one would be able to stop it. The Titanus slipped silently through the vastness of space, its enormous form almost lost among the countless stars. Inside, the crew was tense, but there was a determined air about them. Each member knew the gravity of what was about to unfold, but none of them could have predicted just how quickly the galaxy would react. The journey toward the Galactic trade hub had seemed simple enough. Enter the system, make their presence known, and deliver the message. But as the vast void stretched on, the crew could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. They weren't just traveling to a new world. They were about to make their mark on the entire galaxy. Captain Sarah Drake stood on the bridge, gazing at the holo display of the distant star system ahead. The Titanus was nearing its destination, a place that had long been dominated by one of the galaxy's most powerful alien factions, the Zorath Empire. For centuries, the Zorath had controlled trade routes, manipulated economies, and crushed any resistance that dared to stand against them. Now, Earth's battleship, the Titanus, was heading straight into their territory. The crew had been briefed on the politics of the galaxy, but nothing could have prepared them for the enormity of this moment. Sarah glanced at her tactical officer, Lieutenant Mark Wells, who was monitoring the ship's systems. "What's the status?" she asked, her voice steady, though her heart was pounding. "All systems are green," Mark replied, his eyes scanning the readouts. "We'll be entering the Zorath system in about 5 minutes. No sign of any opposition yet, but we can't be sure how they'll react once they spot us." "I know," Sarah said softly. "Prepare the crew for anything. This is it." As they entered the system, the ship's sensors began to pick up faint signals from the nearby Zorath trade station. The station was a sprawling structure, a combination of sleek metal and energy shields, guarded by smaller Zorath warships. They had no idea what was coming. The Titanus was cloaked for now, but the element of surprise would only last so long. Soon enough, the galaxy's attention would shift to them. The crew moved into their battle stations, their nerves steeled. They were ready for this moment. This was humanity's chance to show the galaxy what it had been building for years, to show them that Earth wasn't just a distant, forgotten world. It had power now, and it was not afraid to use it. "Captain," Mark said, breaking the silence, "we've been detected. The Zorath ships are powering up their weapons. They're on high alert." Sarah's heart skipped a beat, but she remained calm. "Time to make ourselves known. Bring us out of stealth. Let them see us." The Titanus's cloaking field dropped with a sudden pulse of energy, revealing its true size. It was like a beast stepping out of the shadows, its dark, imposing form now visible against the backdrop of distant stars. The Zorath ships immediately took notice, their weapons lighting up in response. The Zorath weren't stupid. They knew the Titanus wasn't just another ship. The size alone was enough to make their commanders pause. But they had the numbers and the arrogance to match. They would see humanity's arrival as an act of aggression, a challenge to their authority. They wouldn't know how powerful the Titanus truly was until it was too late. "Open a channel to the Zorath," Sarah commanded, her voice firm. The time for diplomacy was over. They had come for one thing, to show the galaxy that Earth was no longer weak. The holographic image of a Zorath commander appeared on the screen. His reptilian eyes glinted with suspicion as he looked at the Titanus. "This is Zorath Command. You have entered our space without permission. State your intentions or face the consequences." Sarah's eyes narrowed. She wasn't going to waste time with pleasantries. "We are humanity, and we are not here to negotiate." The Zorath commander snarled, his hands clenching into fists. "You are foolish, human. You have no idea what you've just done." "Maybe not," Sarah replied coldly, "but you're about to learn exactly what we're capable of." Before the Zorath commander could respond, Sarah gave the order. "Target their shields. Prepare to fire." The Titanus's weapons systems hummed with power, its massive energy cannons charged, ready to unleash destruction. The crew braced themselves, knowing that the moment they fired, they would be sending a message across the galaxy. The first shot was fired, a concentrated beam of energy that hit the nearest Zorath ship dead center. The ship's shields flickered, barely holding against the blast, before it disintegrated into space debris. The Zorath fleet was stunned. The Zorath commander's face went pale, his arrogance quickly replaced with fear. You cannot do this," he stammered. "You cannot defeat the Zorath Empire." "We already have," Sarah said, her voice ice-cold. As the Titanus unleashed more firepower, the Zorath fleet began to retreat, their ships scattering in every direction. The battle was over before it had even truly begun. The Zorath had underestimated humanity. Now, they would learn the price of their mistake. The message was clear. Earth had returned, and it was no longer a world to be ignored. The Titanus had made its mark, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As the Zorath fleet fled, the crew of the Titanus stood tall, knowing they had delivered the first blow in a war that would reshape the stars. The Titanus glided through the silent expanse of space, its mission far from over. Though the initial battle against the Zorath Empire had been swift and overwhelming, Sarah Drake knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had just witnessed Earth's first strike in a war it had never seen coming. The Zorath had been caught off guard, but that wouldn't last. Word of the Titanus's devastating power would spread like wildfire. Other empires would take notice, and their reactions would vary. Some might try to counter humanity's newfound strength with their own forces, while others might try to negotiate, seeking to use Earth's power for their own ends. Whatever the case, humanity was no longer an insignificant player in the galaxy. Inside the bridge of the Titanus, the crew was quiet, reflecting on the enormity of what had just happened. The Zorath had been powerful, but now they were no more than a shadow of their former selves, scattered in retreat. But there was no time to rest. The crew had made their point, but the galaxy was vast, and the attention of far more dangerous forces was already turning toward Earth. Sarah could feel the tension in the air, thick like smoke before a firestorm. "Captain, we've received multiple incoming messages," Lieutenant Mark Wells announced from his station. "Some from smaller factions, others from larger powers. They're all asking for a response. They want to know what our intentions are." Sarah nodded, her jaw set. "We knew this was coming. Prepare a secure channel. I'll handle the responses." Her voice carried authority, but even she felt the weight of the moment. This was more than just a military operation. It was humanity's chance to shape its future among the stars. If the wrong message was sent now, Earth could face a galaxy that either feared them or saw them as an easy target to exploit. The first message appeared on the screen. It was from the Council of the Strelian Accord, a neutral, trade-driven faction known for its wealth and influence. Their message was not one of immediate threat, but of curiosity and concern. "We are watching the situation unfold with great interest," the Strelian representative said, his alien form projecting onto the screen. "The Strelian Accord values peace and trade, Captain Drake. We wish to understand Earth's intentions. Will you seek war with the Zorath Empire, or is there another course we should be aware of?" Sarah's mind raced. The Strelians weren't a threat, but they were powerful, and they could be valuable allies or formidable enemies. She couldn't afford to alienate them. "Our intentions are simple," she replied, her voice firm but measured. "We are not seeking war, but we will not stand idly by while others seek to control us. Earth's future lies in its own hands. The Zorath are just the first. There will be more, but we are prepared to meet any who challenge us." The Strelian representative nodded slowly, processing her words. "We understand, Captain. We will reserve judgment for now. But know this, your actions have already set a dangerous precedent. Tread carefully, for others will not be so merciful as the Zorath." The message ended, and Sarah leaned back in her chair, her gaze fixed on the stars outside the window. The galaxy was watching, and every move Earth made now would shape its future. The next message came from a much more direct source. The Kharak Dominion, one of the largest military powers in the galaxy. The Kharak were fierce, brutal, and known for their expansionist policies. Their representative's face appeared on the screen, his expression one of contempt and arrogance. "Captain Drake, The Carrack leader sneered. "You've made quite a spectacle of yourselves. Do you truly think you can stand against the power of the Carrack Dominion? Your pathetic ship is nothing but a blip on our radar. If you seek war, we will gladly oblige." Sarah's eyes narrowed. The Carrack were exactly the kind of empire Earth had to be careful of. They respected strength, and right now, Earth had shown none of that, except for the Titanus. But the Carrack wouldn't see this as a reason for peace. They would see it as a challenge. "We don't seek war, but we will fight if necessary," Sarah replied, her voice cold and unwavering. "If the Carrack Dominion wishes to test Earth, we will meet them on the battlefield. But know this, we will not be conquered again." The Carrack leader's expression flickered, a mix of amusement and irritation. "Then you are either brave or foolish. We will see." The transmission cut off, leaving Sarah to consider their response. The Carrack weren't backing down. They would come for Earth sooner or later, and when they did, humanity would be ready. The Titanus wasn't just a symbol anymore. It was a weapon, and it had sent a message that Earth wasn't going to be trampled on. As the crew waited for further communications, the tension grew. Every faction, every empire, was calculating their next move. Some would try to find common ground. Others would seek to destroy. But one thing was certain. Earth had made its presence known, and nothing would be the same again. In the quiet of the bridge, Sarah felt a shift deep within her. This was more than just a battle for survival. It was a battle for Earth's place in the galaxy. She had no idea what lay ahead, what alliances, what wars, what threats, but she knew one thing. Earth's future would be written in the stars, and they would fight for it with everything they had. The Titanus was just the beginning, and the galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not just a footnote in history. It was the next chapter. The Titanus continued its journey deeper into the galaxy, its reputation spreading quickly after the defeat of the Zorath, and the bold responses to the Carrack Dominion and the Strelian Accord. Yet, the crew knew that the challenges ahead were far greater. The Zorath had underestimated humanity's power, but now, every faction in the galaxy was preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The Titanus was still a lone ship, albeit a mighty one, but it was not enough to challenge the full might of the empires that surrounded them. Captain Sarah Drake stood on the bridge, her mind spinning with the implications of the recent encounters. Earth's sudden rise had shocked the galaxy, but Sarah knew this couldn't last. She couldn't afford to let the Titanus face these powers alone. Something had to change, something greater. Humanity needed more than a single ship. They needed a fleet. "We're going to need allies," she said quietly, speaking to her second-in-command, Commander James Holloway. He was at the weapons station, monitoring the ship's systems, but he turned his gaze to Sarah, his expression matching her own concerns. "I've been thinking the same thing," Holloway replied. "The Titanus is powerful, but we can't win this fight alone. The galaxy is full of enemies, and every one of them will be looking for any weakness to exploit. We can't afford weakness," Sarah said firmly. "We need to reach out to those who might be willing to stand with us, before the Carrack or the Strelians or anyone else can make a move." "Do you have anyone in mind?" Holloway asked. "There are a few factions we could approach. We need to find those who've been oppressed by the larger empires, the ones who might see our rise as an opportunity to throw off the chains they've been living under." "The Zorath were only the beginning," Sarah replied. She paused, looking out the viewport at the stars that stretched infinitely before them. "We need to show them that Earth isn't just a new player. We need to make them understand that we're a force to be reckoned with." At that moment, the ship's communications officer, Lieutenant Emily Chen, spoke up. "Captain, we've received a transmission from the Taldari Coalition. They say it's urgent and wish to speak with you directly." Sarah raised an eyebrow. The Taldari were a mysterious group, known for their neutrality in galactic politics. They were neither powerful nor weak, but their intelligence network was second to none. If they were reaching out to Earth now, it was for a reason. "Patch it through." A holographic projection appeared in front of Sarah, displaying an image of a Taldari diplomat, a sleek alien with a serene expression. His smooth, almost translucent skin shimmered as he began speaking, his voice calm but laced with an undertone of tension. "Captain Drake, I am Elion of the Taldari Coalition. We have been monitoring your actions closely, and we believe that you have inadvertently triggered a ripple in galactic politics. The Zorath Empire was only the beginning. There are powers in the galaxy far more dangerous than them. I urge you to consider your next steps carefully." Sarah's eyes narrowed. She had anticipated this. There was always a bigger fish in the galaxy. "I appreciate the warning, Alien, but Earth's course is set. We're not backing down." Alien nodded, his calm demeanor unchanged. "I did not expect you to, Captain. However, it is not just the Zorath and Karek that you must worry about. The Aranak Syndicate, the Ivath Expanse, even the Hierthar Dominion. These are factions that do not tolerate outsiders encroaching on their territory. They are well-funded, ruthless, and they will not hesitate to destroy you. You must prepare yourself for more than just war. You are stepping into a political game you may not fully understand." The warning hung in the air. Sarah took a deep breath, weighing her options. "We'll take our chances, but we will need help." Elion paused, his gaze calculating. "There are those who might join your cause, but only if you can prove that Earth is worth the risk. You are not yet ready to face the full force of the galaxy's power. If you are truly committed to this path, you will need to show them that Earth is not a world to be underestimated." "Then we'll prove it," Sarah replied. "I don't need them to like us. I just need them to fear us." The Taldari diplomat's expression softened, as though he was weighing her resolve. "Very well. We shall see if your actions match your words. But remember, Captain, every action has consequences. The galaxy does not forget easily." As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her crew. The warning had been clear. The galaxy was not about to stand by and let Earth rise unchecked. But that was exactly what they needed. Fear. Fear would keep enemies at bay. Fear would force them to respect humanity. And fear would be the first step toward building the alliances they desperately needed. "Prepare the Titanus for our next move," Sarah ordered. "We'll be reaching out to some key factions soon. It's time for Earth to show the galaxy just how serious we are. We don't back down. Not now. Not ever." As the crew moved to follow their orders, Sarah stood tall at the front of the bridge, her thoughts focused on the future. The challenges ahead were unimaginable, but she wasn't about to let Earth fall into the hands of those who believed they could control it. The Titanus had fired the first shot, and now Earth had to be ready to play the long game. The galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, but it had just underestimated humanity's will to survive. And that, Sarah knew, would be its greatest mistake. The Titanus had begun its journey toward the unknown, a looming symbol of Earth's defiance. Sarah Drake knew the path ahead was fraught with peril. The galaxy had taken notice, and now Earth's rise to power depended on the next moves they made. The Karek Dominion had already issued their threats, the Strelian Accord had warned of dangerous precedents, and the Taldari Coalition had made it clear that humanity's boldness had stirred something far larger than just the immediate dangers of the Zorath and Karek. The galaxy was a complicated, merciless place, and Earth had to navigate it carefully. As the Titanus entered a neutral sector on the edge of known space, Sarah met with her senior officers in the war room. Their faces were etched with determination, but also with concern. They all knew what was coming. The pressure was mounting. The galaxy was already preparing for a reckoning. "Captain, we've sent out feelers to the factions we discussed," Commander James Holloway said, his voice grave. The Taldari's warning wasn't just idle chatter. "Several of the smaller factions we hope to ally with have gone silent. It's like they're waiting for something." Sarah's brow furrowed. The Taldari were right about one thing. Earth was far from ready to face the galaxy's more formidable powers head-on. Without allies, they'd be isolated, a single ship against an entire galaxy. They're waiting for us to show our hand, James. They want to see if we're serious, or if we're just a flash in the pan. Sarah replied, her gaze steely. But we can't afford to back down now. Every moment we hesitate, they'll be gathering strength to strike when they think we're vulnerable. I don't like where this is heading, Holloway muttered. We need a win. Something big, something that tells the galaxy we're not just going to roll over. Sarah nodded. She had been thinking the same thing. I agree. We need to hit them first. It's time we do something they can't ignore. What do you have in mind? Holloway asked, his voice tinged with anticipation. Sarah turned to the holographic map of the galaxy projected in front of them. We're heading for the Vivath Expanse. Their territory is rich in resources and strategically vital, and they've been expanding into sectors that we need access to. They're a reclusive and dangerous group, but if we strike at their heart and make an example of them, it'll send a message to everyone watching. The room fell silent as the officers processed her plan. The Vivath Expanse was no minor power. They were known for their technology and military prowess, and taking them on would be a gamble. But Earth had already gambled everything in the past few days. This was just the next step. I'm not sure the Vivath will be easy to defeat, Captain, Lieutenant Emily Chen said cautiously. They've got the infrastructure to retaliate in a big way. And if we make a move against them, it's not just a skirmish, it's war. That's exactly the point, Sarah said, her voice firm. The galaxy needs to know that we're not afraid to fight for what's ours. That Vivath are not invincible, and if we show them that, we'll give the rest of the galaxy a reason to take us seriously. They'll know that Earth isn't just playing a defensive game. She paused, looking around at her crew. Every face in the room was serious, and they all understood the risks. But the Titanus was humanity's first step toward becoming a power that couldn't be ignored. It was more than a ship. It was the vanguard of a new age. The path they walked now would decide Earth's future among the stars. Set a course for the Vivath Expanse. Sarah ordered. Prepare for combat. But remember, our goal is to send a message, not to annihilate them. We need them to know that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As the crew scrambled to execute her orders, Sarah turned back to the viewport, her eyes scanning the stars. The quiet of space had never felt so heavy. The decision she was about to make would change everything. They had fired the first shot with the Zorath, but now Earth was about to go on the offensive. The galaxy wouldn't just watch this time. They would either join humanity or fall under its wrath. The Titanus shot forward, its engines humming with quiet power. As Sarah stood there, staring into the vastness of space, she knew that the galaxy would never be the same again. Earth's battleship had arrived, and the universe was about to learn what happened when humanity was pushed too far. In the cold silence of space, the battle for Earth's future had only just begun.